financial news you need to know. From Wall Street to the main street and, of course, the marketplace. Get the answers you need every week on Business Lens with me, Faith Joseph, as I bring into focus the stories, strategies, and shifts shaping our economy. No angle is missed as I talk about the business, the people, patterns, and possibilities behind them. Welcome to the Business Lens. Nigeria's economy, the global markets, what does it all mean for you? From stock market insights to global financial news you need to know. From Wall Street to the main street and, of course, the marketplace. Get the answers you need every week on Business Lens with me, Faith Joseph, as I bring into focus the stories, strategies, and shifts shaping our economy. No angle is missed as I talk about the business, the people, patterns, and possibilities behind them. Welcome to the Business Lens.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is Kunle Remy.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is William Suchemba.
My name is Choma Chukuka.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is Stan Nze.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is Vivian Glam Gabriel.
Hello, Rapid TV. My name is Jide Kene.
Hi, Rapid TV. My name is Steve Chooks.
Best Afrobeat song will go to The Bunch and Snoop Dogg, Oliver Twist.
Piece of my heart, Wizkid.
Right now, we'll probably be grateful by Fino.
My favorite Afrobeat song is Afrobeat.
I can't. There's so much.
It has to be one of our Rasta songs.
I love a lot of them. I don't think I have a favorite Afrobeat song right now. I cannot pick.
I can't pop.
Living in Bondage.
It has to be between Blood Sisters and Lionhearts.
I don't have favorite anything. I have favorite food. I have favorite colors. I barely have favorite any other thing.
Oh my God. Living in Bondage. The first one. I'm not a child.
Right now, a ghetto love story.
Okay, my favorite Nigerian dish would be
Banga stew with rice.
Come on now. Okwa.
Pounded yam and egusi soup.
Beans and plantain.
Is oha soup. Fufu and oha soup. Thank you.
Bread and akara.
bitter leaf soup with catfish and snail and fufu. Proper Santana. Apple.
Nekedu keke ime. Idi sho ne edemma. Idi kwoi. Ilaro ofuma tata. Iteta iligo kwenni. Eman ndi gina afo. You nwike me things. You understand? Okay.
Nigeria's economy, the global markets, what does it all mean for you? From stock market insights to global financial news you need to know. From Wall Street to the main street and, of course, the marketplace. Get the answers you need every week on Business Lens with me, Faith Joseph, as I bring into focus the stories, strategies, and shifts shaping our economy. No angle is missed as I talk about the business, the people, patterns, and possibilities behind them. Welcome to the Business Lens.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Welcome to Business Lens on Rapid TV. My name is Faith Joseph. And of course, per usual, we get to unpack all of the stories that have been making the rounds in the world of business, the economy, and finance. And per usual, I do not get to do this alone. I get to unpack a number of these headlines, of course, with our analysts who are always graciously present to help us unpack them. Okay, so I'll just quickly get to my analysts. I have Mr. Abiola from Keto Markets. Always great to have you here.
Good to be here, thanks.
And of course, I have Daniel, our financial global market analyst. Good morning, Mr. Daniel. Good to have you. Okay, so we're going to just quickly get through some of these headlines. Let's start off, of course, with the headline on Dangote, where marketers are warning against disruption as Dangote is about to start his direct fuel supply. This was a story that we had in focus. I think it was about 2 months ago that the news first broke that he's going to be doing this in August. So it was early last month. And, now it has actually been proven that it's going to do, I think it was supposed to bring in, was like 5,000 or how many trucks to do that. And now you have this marketers complaining about him disrupting, supply chain from Nogasa. Nogasa is a natural oil and gas suppliers association of Nigeria. And also Petroan, they are tackling Mr. Dangote, saying that he's going to disrupt. And they're also asking the president to intervene in the issue, stressing that Dangote alone cannot handle nationwide distribution of product sustainably. This is very interesting that they're going all the way to the president and not even talking to NMDPRA, who is supposed to be in charge of this. That's the agency in charge of this. So let me turn to my analyst. Let's start, this conversation. Let me start with Ms. Sabiola. So we know that Dangote, decided that he was going to start this, just distribute to the end consumers, to petrol stations and things like that directly. And he said it was going to be at no costs, And now you have these people saying, there are supply chains already. There are people who are already in this business. You're trying to knock them out. How do you feel about that? I mean, for Nigerians, it feels like a good thing. Nobody can hold us to ransom. But we also know that there's a value chain that you look at when you're looking at the downstream sector. So how does this play into that?
Okay, my question is the value chain of value? Because
all right.
It's meant to be a value chain. If we talk about value chain in agriculture, we talk about, processes from the farmer harvesting to transportation to urban centers, preservation during those transportation, up and down, and also final storage. That is what we mean by value chain. Value chain is meant to add value to the product and increase the value at the end point, which is to the consumer. As a consumer, my value would be if I get quality petrol at a cheaper price. So telling me that there's a value chain in place that usually maybe will cause strikes, will cause scarcity. Because of the little news last week, even so, what exactly is value to me as a customer might not be value to the value chain. So I support Dangote. Anything at the end of the day for me that will make me get affordable, good quality petrol, for example, is of value at the end of the day for me.
Okay, so according to the Dangote group, Bill Harris was talking and he said that these marketers, they were anti-Nigerian. Do you agree with that sentiment? Because that's a very strong statement to put out.
I think before the regulation, yes. But after, I don't think being anti-Nigerian would go a long way to benefit them. You get so.
Do you agree that they're anti-Nigerian with their stance?
As it stands, no. Why? Because then, as soon as this inefficiency that was taking hold during subsidies was removed, it now became who can make more profits, who can maximize value more, who can deliver goods to their customers better, right? And that is where I actually would be tilt against what the Dangote refinery is doing, because there is a structure. You don't want to, because what we are celebrating now, we end up being a monopoly at the end of the day, right? You don't take off that existing structure because you are saying the end consumers. We all know you also want to make profit. You don't really care about, nobody really cares about the end consumer. Everybody just cares about profitability. So, and as one of the I said on my tweet, was it last week, that Dangote is not in, this refinery is not a Nigerian business. I think what we tend to really make mistake about the fact that a refinery in the crude oil sector is not a Nigerian business. It's a global business. Because then, when we're importing from refineries in Spain all over the place. So you should focus less on the Nigerian. Nigeria should be the one saying, we have a refinery here, help us with this level of supply. Not him saying, I want to make sure you get some. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't speak well for the kind of business he has built there. Right? You can't depend on Nigerian for every conversation, and that's what that's looked at from the get-go. It has always been give me supply, give me this, give me that. This is the market. No, let your end consumers be the ones to approach you with offers that okay, you are here to make it cheaper for us. Bring so it shouldn't be the other way around.
So you're saying that he should not be the one taking over the distribution
exactly,
himself.
From my point of view, it looks like you want to simply own the Nigerian oil industry, and that is not what it should look like. Because at the end of the day, now this is the danger of what he's doing. If you come up and say we are removing zero transport costs, when does that stop? Number one. Number two, when do we even know that you are now pricing lesser, when prices are lesser than what it should be? When do we know that? Two. Number three, there are also refineries in Nigeria. Also, you're not the only refinery in Nigeria. So what you are simply doing is you are cleaning off the potentials of those refineries even doing business also. But
here's the thing, though, because I know Mr. Abiola disagrees, and I'm going to come to you in a minute. But because here's the thing, if you're saying that the problem is that he's killing off every other person, he's not saying that they should not do it themselves. So if any other refinery decides that we're going to refine and we're going to handle logistics, he's not saying don't do it, and he's not telling the marketers that you must buy from me. Right? They're most of them are importing, and they can buy from other refineries, and they can choose to distribute the way they want. So he's not shutting them out. Yes, because of his size, the size of the refinery, yes, he has the capacity to sort of like, I would say crush, but it's a business, right? At the end of the day, like you said, it's not altruistic. So he's trying to make sure that he's doing what can be profitable for him.
Exactly.
But what is profitable for him is also profitable for Nigerians.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
And that is it.
That's where I come. I think Daniel has been emotional, because he's mixing up issues.
Okay.
Fine. He has the point that, okay, don't monopolize the market.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like he said also, nobody cares about the end users.
Yes.
So if competition will drive down price in whatever way the competition looks, let it drive down price for me. Because the structure, how far has the structure helped you so far? Sorry, let me quickly touch on this. There used to be a structure in NNPC, in the oil sector, that there used to be a minister of the petroleum. Now, for some presidents back now, they will come and say, I am not going to be the president, I'm the minister of petroleum. Was there not a structure on ground before? So why were people not? I know that people also said all manner at the end of the day, but what we should be looking at is the results at the end of the day, not just the fact that somebody wants to monopolize the market. Nobody will give you anything. It's what you take at the end of the day that matters. So if Dangote is trying to take, let other people too try to take. At the end of the day, we enjoy the benefits.
And this is where regulation also comes in, because
regulation.
Yes,
in
this regulation comes in, and I feel that whatever happens in the oil sector in the next couple of years will be a function of how well we actually followed through with whatever the PIA is saying. Because why is Dangote also not buying plenty ships to also send crude or petrol products to other countries in Africa? Why Nigeria? Why should there not have been a license you have been given? Because what he's doing is distribution. It's an entire different conversation in the value chain. Why is there no license that should be issued for that also? Because what will happen next is that these refineries now begins to set up filling stations and now sends everybody away from the market. Because why? If he has the capacity to do it. It's not meant to be like that. It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Because of time, I want us to leave this conversation for now, and we will go on a very, very quick break. And then when we return, we're going to look at a couple more headlines. There's still the business lens, and I still have, of course, my analyst here. Speaking for and against this distribution issue with Dangote, but at the end of the day, what profits Nigerians is actually the most important, isn't it? But we'll come back to this conversation, so stick around, stay with Rapid TV. This is, of course, Business Lens.
Nigeria's economy, the global market, what does it all mean for you? From stock market insights to global financial news you need to know, from Wall Street to the main street, and of course, the marketplace.
Get the answers you need every week on Business Lens with me, Faith Dafford Joseph, as I bring into focus the stories, strategies, and shifts shaping our economy. No angle is missed as I talk about the business, the people, patterns, and possibilities behind them. Welcome to the Business Lens.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Correro, your front row seats to the most pressing issues from the corridors of power to the heart of our communities. We bring you unfiltered insight, fearless journalism, and the conversations that matter. My name is Ihia Natural Prince, and I invite you to this big conversation table as we analyze the top stories, ask the tough questions, and hold power to account. News that informs, analysis that empowers, debate that drives change. Correro, the big conversation, every weekday at 7 p.m. only on Rapid TV.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NAS Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Hello viewers at home, this is the Almighty, and I'm here at the Masterminds Maiden Edition and our audition today. This is the platform where we give young mind kids from the ages of 7 to 17 the platform to express their feeling and to showcase their talent.
My name is Uzo Emanuela
Sadiq Labron Abu,
Jessica Prince.
My name is Helen Widi.
Sarah Angela Achalaga.
My name is Golden Aisha.
Special Sodimu.
I'm Tarila. I am Paris Aban.
Just not Julie.
Let's go.
It was amazing.
it was splendid.
Mastermind.
All right, welcome back to the Business Lens on Rapid TV. And I have a very special guest in the studio. So not too long ago, Nigeria underwent a rebasing exercise of our GDP. And the base year was now brought forward to 2019. And right after the rebasing, the GDP stood at 372.8 trillion. Okay, in 2024, I have asked a special guest to help us discuss this and what it means, for the Nigerian economy. Dr. Tokpe Fashua, he is the special advisor to the President on Economic Matters. Great to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me.
Okay, so we know that this is an exercise that a lot of experts said should have been done a while back.
Oh, yes.
It took a while to get us here. So can you talk us through why, the administration chose to do this now and what the end goal, is for this, what the impacts will be on the economy?
Right. Okay. So this administration, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, has been here for about 2 years, perhaps 2 years and a couple of months now, So we, of course, when a new administration comes in, even if it was the same party, there's a whole lot to learn. There's a whole lot to grapple with, to know where is what, where, and all of that transition issues and so on. Otherwise, this ought to have been done maybe on the very day that the administration resumed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because again, data is critical, yeah. So everything revolves around data. We live in the data age, the information age, and all of that. However, it's 6 years late. According to the United Nations World Bank recommendation, we ought to have done this
in 2019, you know, and we're in 2025 now. So you probably will blame the last government of President Buhari. However, yeah, they ought to have done it 2019. I look forward to the point where we're able to actually stick to that timing. You know what I'm saying? Because of the importance of data.
Yeah.
However, they also had this crisis in 2020 that kind of reshaped everything. So whatever it is you had done in 2019, if it had been done in 2019, by 2020, everything was thrown out of whack. However, so I think we need to understand the power of data now. Data is the new money, it's the new oil. And so to subtly put pressure on our National Bureau for Statistics to say, you know what, delaying it by six years is not good. Because they're technocrats, and of course, government tries to detach itself to play an arm's length kind of relationship with the MBS, so that you not be accused of dictating data to them. You know what I'm saying? They'll say, oh, it's what you want and all of that. So now that it's been done, way forward, now we have better, meaningful data to work with, and we know where our GDP is according to the data people. It can't be a perfect work. And again, like I've been saying to many people, there's still a huge room open for continuous engagement with the MBS to tell them what you do. If you think they didn't capture you properly, one way or the other, to let them know what you do, and then to collaborate more. Because again, as much as government needs to maintain an arm's length relationship with them, they can't work in isolation, because again, they can't know everything. So you can see this is a very good one, 373 trillion. It's not a lot. I think that, my own personal opinion, I think that the work that they've done has been rather very, very conservative, perhaps overly so, because they are meant to have brought in some very new sectors, marine and blue economy, modular refineries, including Dangote, which wasn't there some years back. These are very large things going on.
So they were not
e-commerce, they wasn't captured before. It's meant to be in this one. So I've been looking and interrogating with them, and also interacting with them to find out what happened. Where I want to see those contributions, so that we know what went down, what went up, and all of that. However, now we have better data to work with, and that's great.
Let me ask you this, because as you were talking about the fact that, if you had even done anything in 2019, because of COVID in 2020, that sort of like reshaped global economies, it would have been moot. So now taking the rebase year back to 2019, and we had COVID in 2020, do you think that was right? Going by what you said about how if you had done the rebase and then that happened in 2020, but we're still taking the rebase year back to 2019.
Yes, and that's the reason why the most stable year, that we could pick was that 2019, that they could pick. Now, that's MBS, for MBS to explain better, because again, we have to detach ourselves from them. But according to their explanation, the most stable year that they could find, that was more recent was 2019. You certainly can't use data of 2020. Everybody went to sleep. We couldn't travel. 2021, there was a spillover into even parts of 2022. So, and then you can't get it to be too close. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they chose 2019, and I think it makes sense.
You said that the figures were conservative. In your opinion, what is the right figure to be looking at for GDP for Nigeria?
I can't say that that's the right figure, but because I'm an economist, sometimes I can extrapolate, likelihood. And there's in research, there's what they call triangulation, to say that whatever data you pick or whatever information you pick, you also want to be able to back it up with one or two things going on and say, you know what, look, whereas I have this data, this also points to the same thing, that also points to the same thing. At least three sources, So one of the things I realized was, I went and checked the Algeria is meant to be a bigger economy than Nigeria, right? Okay, fair enough, They have a bigger land mass than Nigeria, but that's mostly desert. They have some crude oil that they do and some gas. We do more than them in crude oil by far. I think they may do more than us with gas. But that's where it ends. Algeria has only 2 large cities. Algiers with 3 million people and Oran with 1 million people. Nigeria has several of those. Even though I'm a data cynic, I must say that, I always ask questions about data. Honestly, I'm sitting down here.
So will any data have been put forward that you would have
for example,
accepted?
I will always, sorry?
Would any data have been put forward that you would accept? Still know you're a data cynic.
Well, I may not I accept this one. I mean, because it's the official data, I'm a data cynic. For example, I will tell you that Nigeria's population, sometimes I don't think it's what they say it is. So I'm still waiting to see that because it didn't show up in our election data, right? We had 23.2 million people voting in the last election. We had 23.4 million voting in 1999. And then that number rose to 40 million before then descending. And I think that's the effect of technology because I think one way or the other, there's more technology, social media, restless people like you who are carrying their phones up and down and ensuring that the votes. So it's more difficult to manipulate. So that's one of the reasons I believe that maybe the last election was perhaps the more transparent of the lot because Nigeria's population is increasing. And people are actually taking interest in this election. We can't corroborate that population number in our BVN. We have about 60 million BVN now. We can't corroborate it in the NIN. The NIN says 120 million. So anyway, it's good to corroborate, So I would actually ballpark that, Nigeria's population, Nigeria's GDP is a little bit more than 370, but of course, the MBS has the final say. Algiers with 3 million, Oran with 1 million. Nigeria has maybe 20 million people in Lagos, almost the same 20 million people in Kano, in Port Harcourt. In Abuja here, you have about 6-7 million people. Now, GDP is actually also a function of the consumption because in the calculation of GDP, Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net export. If you use that expenditure, income, what's it called, method, the consumption function is usually the biggest. So the consumption that's made by, even if Nigeria was 150 million people or maybe 200 million people, will certainly be more than what you find in Algeria. However, I also admit that if an economy is more sophisticated, maybe like South Africa, where there's a lot of value addition, production of very sophisticated goods, yes, I could admit that, such an economy can be bigger than Nigeria.
Can have a bigger GDP because we're also looking at, consumer purchasing power. Because if you look at the CPI, that we had, you were saying is shrinking. But let's talk about the impact of this for investors and for people coming into the Nigerian markets. Do you think that this rebasing of the GDP is going to motivate people to decide to invest more in Nigeria, looking at these figures?
It could have been better. If we had had a 600 trillion naira GDP, almost twice that. If we had had a 500 trillion as against 300, it could have been a lot better. Again, honestly, and I'm engaging with the MBS on this, Nigerians must step forward, institutions must step forward and supply perspective, not data, even data. To say, because it may be easier for you, for example, it's easier for you to get granular data about this company because you work in this company than for MBS to get that granular data. Therefore, every institution, company, ministry, and so on should know that MBS is a public institution that you can walk into, engage with, and give them information about what you do.
So are you saying that ministries don't collaborate enough?
No, of course they do. But still they can do more. They say the biggest room in the world is a room for improvement. MBS cannot be everywhere. How many staff do they have? Even if they have to take ad hoc staff, they can't be everywhere. So, but you see, we don't appreciate data as a people. That's what I'm saying. And we need to appreciate data more because, look, we can't... Every time you dump your data, you're dumping money. Just understand that. If you, for example, I'll tell you the elements of data, right? In this room where we're sitting, this is data. if I take a picture of you, I've taken a picture data. This is one lady sitting down, working on a PC and so on. The data of how many people come here every day, the data of how many people pass the front of this building every day, how many cars pass, that's data. So you see, in the more developed countries, they've been able to come to that point where they're capturing data every time, sometimes just storing data. So the storage of data is also another big issue. Storing data because they know that they will always have use for it. For those of us who don't do that, okay, who think, oh, data is for MBS to do, let them do it, you know. What you're doing is you're dumping, you're ignoring money, because on the day you now need the data about something that concerns you, you go and buy from those who have stored the data, usually abroad.
You have still not highlighted the importance of this for investors.
I'll let you know.
Yes.
So no, I'm saying to you that it would have been better at 500, but okay, at 373. What it has shown investor is that, oh, okay, the economy is not a $188 billion or $180 billion economy. According to official numbers, it's 243 billion. But I'm very quick to let you know what's more important. What's more important is that $243 billion could grow very rapidly to 300, 350 if we supply the data that I'm talking about, if we engage more with the MBS, if we show them the lacuna in the data and, you know, where they could have done better or, you know, things that they could have missed out, then we'll be able, and then that's where we'll be stuck. Because when you have that level now, you know that now Nigeria's GDP per capita, which is GDP per person, has increased from $800 as a result of this rebasing to about 1,100, which is better. Investors will come to a country where they believe that the people are all not suffering so much as in, you know, and
purchasing power of the people.
And truth be told, honestly speaking, oftentimes I think, you know, may we not die by data. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for anybody to say that Nigeria, we are living in such a despicable scenario, I know a lot of people are suffering. I believe that the situation is getting better. Things are getting a lot more aligned because of some of the shocks that we have taken in the last 2 years. For example, the Naira, weakening of the Naira, what it has done, you see how many Nigerians are now focused inward, you know, wearing Nigerian clothes, supporting Nigerian things. You know, I mean, we have people who are fashion designers who are billionaires today, and so on. And people who are doing Nigerian cuisine. So that means that we have an opportunity to do better, and of course, that things are going to get a little bit better. So investors would like to come to a country where, you know, things are better. Mind you, lastly, let me say this: when we wanted to do GSM in the year around 2001, you know, one of the biggest companies in mobile phone telephony was Vodafone, coming from the UK. They commissioned some of the big four companies, the PwCs of this world, McKinsey and Co., to do a survey for them to see whether it's worth it to come to Nigeria. Of course, those guys wrote a very lovely whatever and then told them that these people are too poor. Don't go to Nigeria. You won't make your money. It took MTN to come from South Africa, who probably are closer to us and understand the market more. And today, as I speak, for the past 25 years, or 24 years, MTN makes 40% of its revenue and profit from this country. They're in South Africa. They're not making that money in South Africa. They're not making it anywhere. I said 40%. So that's why it's important to put out the data. But of course, beyond the data, those who are discerning, they know a good economy when they see one. And I think Nigeria is one.
You think Nigeria is one? I don't want to interrogate that because that's another conversation entirely. But let's talk about some of the specifics of this GDP rebasing, and let's look at where agriculture is. Now, agriculture is one of the biggest, has always one of the biggest employers of labor in Nigeria. But we can see that it only expanded by 0.7%. In Q1 2025, and we see manufacturing also growing by, yes, in Q1 2025. And then we're also looking at manufacturing also growing by 1.7%. Those are very critical aspects of the economy, because if you look at the GDP rebasing, we had real estate actually go up in that particular rebasing. So at the end of the day, do you think that this highlights problems in places like agriculture and manufacturing, that, you know, you say data informs the people in power, your administration? What is this data going to tell them
to do, especially when you look at sectors like agriculture and manufacturing?
Well, okay, so there are several things in what you just said. The first thing is you're looking at Q1 data, Q1 2025, because we were talking of the macro data on a yearly basis, and indeed the rebasing is up to 2024. When it's at 373 trillion, is up to December 2024. So, but the MBS actually did a little bit more work in giving us an idea about what has happened in Q1 2025. That's up to March this year, which is fair enough. But again, I must also say that the data, what was presented in 2025 Q1 is quite similar to the conclusion for December 2024 as a result of the rebasing, that agric has grown marginally, manufacturing has grown very, very marginally, and so on. All that does is to tell us where we should put more efforts and so on. Some of it, of course, like I said, no data is perfect, because I saw a scenario where what was put out is, for example, like the transport sector collapse, and I'm wondering how the transport sector can collapse. Are people not moving around? And of course, I also saw another thing about manufacturing, in that manufacturing sector, the one about the data about the car manufacturers, and the idea is that there was a drop in even in dollar terms in car manufacturing contribution to the GDP. In dollar terms, from $300 million to $131 million. And I'm wondering, that's from 2019 to 2024. And I'm wondering, how can that be? Because we have more car manufacturers now in this country. Call it manufacturers, call it assembling plants.
Don't you think the valuation of the currency has something to do with that?
No, now I'm talking dollars. If I was talking naira, yes, fine. But even in dollar terms, as stated, there was a problem. I saw that issue with that. But of course, in naira terms, yes, everything struggles. But mind you, what happens in naira is that the naira value has gone up. You made a very important point now, because for everything now, the naira value has more than doubled. That's a result of depreciation and inflation. Two working together. There's depreciation. Depreciation sometimes powers up inflation. Inflation also can come up organically on its own, depending on whatever we're talking about. So what that then means that the meal we used to eat for 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira maybe a couple of years back, we now have to eat for 4,000 naira the same meal. Meaning you're paying 4,000 naira. That's the double. It will capture the naira as 4,000 naira. Same thing you used to do at 2,000. Captured as 4,000 naira. That means that the GDP doubles. That's why I'm a bit skeptical that look. How much is
in short, you are not very sold on these figures that the MBS has put out.
No, I think that we can do a better job. I'm not blaming the MBS. I'm just saying that Nigerians are not interacting well enough, and that there's still an opportunity, because I have a strong belief in this economy. I don't, we're pushing for double digits growth, except we ask the very important hard questions. We won't get there. This economy is great.
The economy is great? Yeah, you think the economy is great?
It's a great economy, whether you like it or not. I mean, we're here today.
People are hungry. More people are in poverty.
Well, it depends on the data that you believe.
Well, the data that the World Bank released last year talked about.
Yeah, I don't buy World Bank data, hook, line, and sinker.
But even if you look at the MBS figures, even if you look at the inflation, you can see that this is what is going. Even when the MBS put out household, I think that was last year, you can still see that household consumption has decreased, just like household income has reduced.
Okay, let me give you a data. This one is empirical. So, in rural Nigeria, let's say rural Southwest, one of the things they do is agriculture, and cocoa is the main product. Cocoa prices tripled between 2023 and 2024. And what Nigerians made moved from about 1 trillion naira to 4 trillion naira, which went into the pockets of cocoa farmers and maybe middlemen as well. So is that captured in the data from Southwest up to Cross River State? This is what happened. Those who are making money, farmers who are making money from cashew nuts, from sesame, from soya bean, and all of that. We seem not to be talking to those people.
How many are they?
Oh my God, that's
How
where the
many are
millions
they?
are. That's where the millions of Nigerians are. I'm not saying that everybody is enjoying, but I think we're actually falling into a certain tyranny of the minority, a tyranny of those who have access to social media, who can come every day and say, people are suffering. So
you don't think a lot more people are suffering?
I don't know.
But let me ask you this. So the World Bank,
shifting.
hold on. Let's talk about the World Bank data that you do not agree with. It's looking at poverty rate in Nigeria, estimate of 75%. I'm talking about over 100 million. Why don't you believe in it? And what poverty rate would you believe in?
I don't think they have the apparatus to be able to check these numbers appropriately. I think they work on models. So when they work on models, you just say, okay, you put a percentage to it. What was the poverty rate before? It should grow at 3-point-something%. And then you give us the number. So it's left to us. Again, that's why I say again, remember that we're not taking our own data as serious. You know, all of us want to sit in our comfort and just quote the World Bank. We should get our own data, interact with our own economy, interact with our own people more and see where things are going. For example,
what do you think the
let me
poverty
say
rate
this.
is? I want to get a figure from you. You don't agree at 75%. What do you think the poverty rate?
Not.
What do you think the poverty rate is for Nigeria?
Absolutely not.
What do you think it is?
Absolutely not. Well, ballpark, if you ask me, maybe 30% of Nigeria.
Really?
And yes, let me let you know this. And what's the poverty rate?
How did you get there?
Talking about, again, I'm not going to use maybe dollar terms. Because what the dollar can do, again, I was on Sheun's show a few months back. I said, what the dollar can do in US, it can do a whole lot more here.
I want to know how you got to 30%.
Okay, yes, I'll take you through it. So if you say the poverty rate that they're using, in fact, they increased it from to $2.15. Sometimes they use $3 per day that somebody should have, and that's a lot of money in Nigeria.
How much is that?
A lot of people would have that, and they are.
How much is it? Let's talk about it in naira. $2 is how much?
$2 at 1,005. That's 3,000 naira.
You think that's a lot of money for a Nigerian? Can't even buy food.
For many people, you can buy food. No, you can't.
You just told me now that if you look at food that people were buying at 1,000, 2,000, it's now 4,000, 5,000.
You can certainly buy food. You're sitting down here. If you went to Chowdeck is doing an advert now for 1,004.
Please do not call their name, they're not paying us.
Well, you want data. If you want facts, you get Chicken Republic is advertising 1.5. I'm sorry, so those ones are there. I'm just saying that, look, there's this thing called doomsbaiting and doom scrolling, and Nigerians love that a lot. And then it gets into the political space. Everybody wants to come and say, everybody's dying in this country.
So you don't believe people are suffering in Nigeria?
Of course, many people are suffering. However, I'm more interested in knowing why they're suffering, where they're suffering, and be able to direct our policies towards solving that problem, rather than just merely repeating them.
But if you don't believe that people are suffering, how do you redirect?
That mindset. Somebody is suffering. Look, I believe in targeted poverty eradication. So, like they did in China, some people are suffering because they have disease, so they can't work. Some people are suffering because there's no employment. Some people are suffering because of illiteracy. If you don't target, then you will not solve the problem. If you are interested in just saying things or just buying our data from people who may not be able to capture the data well, let me tell you what they did in India. About 2023 or so, they suddenly came up with, they said like 60 million people disappeared from India's poverty list. And the World Bank, first of all, objected to it and said, oh, they don't believe it. But in time, because those guys insisted on their position, that was how Nigeria became the country with the largest number of poor people. Faith, I assure you, if you went to India today, between 2 or 3 states, you will find more extremely poor people in that country than this country.
We're looking at a percentage. But India's population is almost in billions.
No. We like the alarmism, and everybody is
because of time. I need to let you go.
Everybody seems to be profiting on it, and that's not fair. We can't continue profiting on that rhetoric that puts this country down. Maybe like some of the things that people like Kemi Badenoch will say. It becomes sexy for us to come out and say, Nigerians are dying, when we should actually trace. I gave you the example of cocoa and the other farmers that are doing other things. I think that things are changing. I think we need more granular data. I think we need, to take our own data more serious rather than get it from somewhere else.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Dr. Sokpe. I honestly Wish that we could talk more about this because there are a lot of people take exceptions to you saying that, oh, rate of poverty in Nigeria is 30%. Like, oh, really? When last did you go to the market?
I go,
anyway,
that's the thing. I go very often.
You do
That's
not.
the thing.
I do not believe you.
Okay, fine.
Anyway,
you see my picture. You see my picture in the taco
I need
market
to see that.
often.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Dr. Tokwe Fasua. I was speaking with Dr. Tokwe Fasua, the special advisor on economic affairs to the president. All right, but this is where we get to wrap it up for Business Labs because unfortunately we do not have enough time. I was hoping we'll go back to the headlines, but we might not be able to do that today. We will do that again on Thursday. Thank you for joining me on the program. Stay with Rapid TV though because we have the news coming up at 12 noon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Nigeria's economy, the global markets, what does it all mean for you? From stock market insights to global financial news you need to know. From Wall Street to the main street and of course, the marketplace. Get the answers you need.